Hey guys, Common Sense Outdoorsman here. This is my Schrade SCHF9 knife. Now, this is a big knife, 6.5-inch blade. It's a 1/4 of an inch thick, full tang, big handle. And that tang under the handle is not skeletonized. It's just a full, besides those 4 fastener holes, it is just a solid piece of 1/4 inch 1095 steel, and it has a sort of a flat grind. The grind is flat, it's not hollow. Now, I've had this knife for more than 10 years, and this is my edge that I put on. It's more of a convex edge. It's still a thick edge to remain strong, because a knife this big, weighs close to a pound, is meant to be a strong knife. Can you do small knife stuff with it? Yes, you can, but that's not its primary use. So why would you want a big knife like this? And I think I've talked about this before. There are axes and, ooh, don't do that with the knife. But you can do a lot of small axe type stuff with a big knife like this. You can chop, you can split wood and all that other stuff. So I do like to have a big knife like this in my tool belt and when I need it, and usually for colder weather when I feel like I'm going to do more larger wood processing. Yeah, a knife like this can come in handy. I've said before, it's a little easier to carry than a hatchet. It can do some of the work a hatchet can do. It's more versatile because it is a knife. So yeah, can it make feathers? Can it shave wood? Yeah, it can. So is it the best at it? No, this has got a fat angle. But yeah, you can still do small knife stuff with a big knife. But that's not what we're going to do today. We're going to beat this knife up a bit. Can I break this knife? I'm going to say I probably can. I don't think I'm strong enough. And I'm not going to use any kind of cheats. I'm just going to try to beat the snot out of this knife as best I can and put some pressure on it. A lot more than what I usually do with my smaller knives. But let's see what this knife can do and what it can take. And let's see why we may want a bigger knife for the outdoors. Okay? So let's put this little stick aside and let's take a big stick. Okay? Let's see what this SCHF9 can do. Put the gloves on. Now this is obviously a knotty piece of dried This is, I believe this is a piece of spruce, okay? That's fairly thick. So the SCHF9 is a 6-inch blade, so you can see, what is that? 4.5-inch thick piece of log. But let's just beat the snot out of this knife, see what happens. I think it's too thick to actually split with this knife, but I just want to beat this knife up a little bit. When splitting wood, the one good thing about a knife like this, that 1/4 inch thick blade is really, it's going to give you that wide split on the wood. And so I'm already down there, and see if I can get this tip through there. Hear that wood crack a little bit. The handle on this knife is that rubberized craton material, so yeah, you can definitely booger that up a little bit. See, we're going through that knot there. Pretty tough. A little further. It's a pretty tough piece of wood. Now remember, I could get a wooden wedge and put it in there and continue splitting this, but I'm just testing the knife, okay? Hopefully, I get this split. Check that out. I don't know if you can see the knife in there. Kind of bent up a little bit. You're the baton so far. You can hear that wood crack. thick tip is not having any problems. Wow. That is quite a knot. Let's try this. All right, I'm out of strength, but let's just say that's a pretty tough knife. On to the next thing. All right, guys, so I did get it out. I wedged a piece of wood in there and finally knocked it out, and absolutely no problems with this knife. Still straight. Nothing's damaged. The handle's not damaged. So this piece, we'll work on that again another day. Let's go to this kind of a rotted old tree stump standing up, and let's just tear at it with this knife. See what happens. I don't know what's going to happen. Now, I don't think I have the strength to break this knife, but we'll see. Yeah, I know you're not supposed to do this with the knife, but I'm just testing it. Yeah, that is a rotted tree. no doubt. All right, so there's the rotted tree test. Got a little dirty, but no problems for that. 1/4 inch thick 1095 Schrade SCHF9. Let's move on to something else. All right, guys, let's move on to some tip torture. See what happens. And I'm not gonna let up on this knife like I do some of the other smaller knives, because I don't think I can break this tip off no matter what. But we will see. Remember, this is 1/4 inch thick, and that is a real thick, healthy tip. This wood is a little on the rotted side, but it still has some life left in it. Let's see. All right, guys, tip test complete. And the other thing you might want to do with the big knife is some chopping. It's not an axe, but a big knife does give you some versatility, and it does allow you to do some chopping. And with this knife, because of those finger grooves and the flared pommel area, you can choke back fairly nicely and get a good chop going. Or you can just rip the tree apart. Is an axe better for this? Yes, but you can do some chopping work with a bigger knife. So yeah, chopping, no problems. So yeah, I didn't think I could break this knife, but one last act of batoning. And then I'll call myself whooped. But you know, so yeah, so guys, that's why you might carry a big knife. And it's not that this is what you do with a knife or it replaces an axe, or I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying sometimes having something a little tougher in case you needed to get tough with it. If all you had was the knife, you know, a big knife like this will come in handy. But what's the most important thing about having a big knife? Well, it always comes down to the fire. What good is having a big knife if you don't have a fire? I don't know. That's what it's all about. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Common Sense Outdoorsman. We'll talk to you later.